The night air was thick with the scent of dry earth and the distant murmurs of unseen creatures. Akira walked barefoot, the cool ground pressing against her skin, grounding her as she followed the path illuminated by the full moon. The wind carried echoes, perhaps whispers from the ancestors, warning or guiding her. She did not know. The savannah stretched endlessly before her, tall grasses swaying like restless spirits. Acacia trees stood like twisted sentinels, their branches reaching toward the heavens, yearning for something unseen. Each step she took felt heavier, as though the land itself resisted her journey. She had left her village behind, her people, their beliefs. She had chosen the moon over fear, but as the night deepened, she began to wonder, had the moon chosen her? After hours of walking, Akira reached a towering baobab tree that stood alone, its massive trunk scarred by time. At its base sat an old woman, her skin dark and wrinkled, like the bark itself, her eyes reflecting the moonlight. Akira hesitated. "You walk a dangerous path, child," the woman said in a voice that carried the weight of many seasons. "I follow my heart," Akira replied, though her voice trembled. The old woman chuckled. "Ah, the heart, a thing stronger than iron yet weaker than water. Tell me, do you know what awaits you?" Akira shook her head. The woman sighed and drew patterns in the dust, symbols that seemed to shift and breathe on their own. "The moon does not belong to mortals. Those who seek it rarely return." "Then I will be the first," Akira said, kneeling before her. The old woman studied her for a long time before nodding. She reached into a small leather pouch and pulled out a tiny silver bead, unlike any Akira had ever seen. It shimmered with an otherworldly glow. "Take this. It is the tear of the moon. It will reveal what is hidden and protect you from what wishes to remain unseen." Akira accepted it, feeling its cool weight in her palm. But when she looked up, the old woman was gone, as if she had never been there at all. The land ahead was unfamiliar. The golden grass of the savannah faded into cracked earth and jagged stones. A thin river, dark as ink, slithered through the land, reflecting no stars, no sky. The air smelled strange, damp, metallic, wrong. Then came the whisper, "Turn back, child." Akira stopped. The voice did not belong to the wind. She turned sharply, scanning the darkness. No one. Then, a ripple in the black water, but there was no wind. "Turn back before the shadows claim you." Akira's breath hitched. The tear of the moon in her palm pulsed, once, twice, like a heartbeat against her skin. She stepped forward. The river lapped at her ankles, warm, too warm, like breath against her skin. As she reached the other side, a gust of wind howled through the trees, snuffing out the moonlight for a fleeting moment. Then, silence. But not the silence of peace, the silence of something waiting. Ahead, a lonely hut stood beneath a gnarled acacia tree. Smoke curled from a small fire outside. A figure stepped into the dim firelight. A man. He was tall, his skin dark as night itself, his features sharp yet blurred, as though the darkness still clung to him. But it was his eyes that made Akira's stomach twist. They were silver, moonlit, glowing faintly. "You carry the tear," he said, his voice a low vibration that settled deep in her bones. Akira nodded. "You should not be here." "I seek the moon," she said, though her voice came out weaker than she intended. The man's mouth curled into something that was not quite a smile. "Do you?" The fire between them flickered, stretching unnaturally high. Then, a sound. Wet, ragged, a breath that was not her own. Akira turned. Figures stood in the dark, silent, watching. Their faces were obscured, shifting like ripples in water. They did not move, yet she felt them drawing closer. The man with silver eyes exhaled slowly. "You crossed the river." His voice was almost gentle. "That means you belong to neither world now." A hand, cold, too long, with too many fingers, brushed against her arm. She jerked back. The whispers returned, but this time, they were inside her head. Does the moon love you back? The shadows pressed in. The figures did not move, yet she felt them everywhere. The wind howled, the fire sputtered, and Akira was no longer sure if she had ever been alone.